and welcome to South Asia Today, a show that provides you the glimpses of South Asia. I'm your host, Lipakshi Khurana, and here are the headlines. New Delhi Kathmandu bus service resumes after months' gap of COVID-19 lockdown. NEC develops smooth boarding system at Narita Airport in Japan. And India's Karnataka hosts glorious annual buffalo race. Let's begin the show. The Indo-Nepal friendship is an ever-building legacy, and it keeps getting its share of virtues added with time. Whether it is trade, politics or people-to-people connect, the ties have been witnessing a consistent uptick for decades. And now, when the two countries are recording a significant decline in infections, the authorities have decided to resume the bus service between the two sides that has been lying suspended for past 1.5 years.
Passengers travelling from New Delhi to Nepal's capital Kathmandu were elated as the bus service between two capitals resumed after being suspended for over 1.5 years due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The daily bus service between the two countries, which was launched in 2014, has provided a boost to the trade, tourism and people-to-people connect between the two sides. The regular passengers said they were delighted after the resumption of the services, as they would again be able to continue their inter-country affairs seamlessly.
यहाँ पे लगभग डेली रूटीन पे लोग आते जाते रहते हैं, तो इसके लिए आपको कुछ प्राइवेट जो बसें थी उसमें प्रॉपर तरीके से चालू नहीं हो रही थी, प्लस काफ़ी ज़्यादा सिक्योरिटी रीजंस थे। तो इसी बीच में जैसे चालू हुआ तो शुरुआत में काफ़ी अच्छा है, क्योंकि इससे सिक्योरिटी का भी काफ़ी ध्यान रखा जाता है, प्लस डायरेक्ट बस होता है, बीच में कुछ दिक्कत की बातें नहीं आती है।
In order to travel by the bus, the passengers will be required to produce a COVID-19 vaccine certificate and a RT-PCR test conducted within 72 hours before boarding. The decision was taken despite India imposing ban on several international flights and a mandatory protocol for people coming from countries where Omicron variant of COVID-19 is prevalent. The two countries already share an open border and unhindered movement of people. They have close people-to-people bonds through marriages and family ties. Culturally, India and Nepal are considered one entity. At least 8 million Nepalese live in India and they don't need a visa. They are given facilities and opportunities at par with Indian citizens. As close neighbors, India and Nepal share a unique relationship of friendship. Nepal shares 1,850 km long open border with India. It stretches along 5 Indian states of Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, West Bengal and Sikkim. Citizens travelling on either side have lauded the inter-government efforts and say the rule-based move will protect their lives and businesses.
They mentioned that we need to give vaccine certificate and identity card, so we don't have any trouble in the border. So it is very good for us, so we can save the people's life.
Trade along India and Nepal border is unmatched. India is Nepal's largest trading partner and the bilateral trade between the two sides reached $8.27 billion in 2018-19. India's export to Nepal is of $7.76 billion. Common citizens of Nepal feel India is like home to them and it does not feel like any other country.
Moving on to Afghanistan, the Pentagon is not taking any action against the drone strike that killed 10 civilians, including 7 children in August. US, which had earlier referred to the incident as tragic mistake, has now called it a result of execution errors. Meanwhile, the UN has expressed deep concerns over the rapidly deteriorating human rights situation in the country, where it said reprisal attacks, attack on freedom of speech and activism was becoming increasingly pervasive.
The Pentagon this week said that no US military personnel would be held accountable for the August drone strike in Kabul that killed 10 civilians, including 7 children. An investigation by the Air Force Inspector General said the August 29 strike was caused by execution errors, interpreting information that supported certain viewpoints and communication breakdowns. The military had previously called the strike a tragic mistake. Pentagon spokesman John Kirby told reporters that senior commanders had made a number of recommendations to Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin about the incident, none of which included any accountability measures for specific personnel.
If the Secretary believed that in the case of the 29 August airstrike that accountability was warranted and needed, he would certainly support those kinds of efforts. As General Saeed briefed to you, and as we discovered when again the two combatant commanders took a look at General Saeed's report, what we saw here was a breakdown in process and execution in procedural events. Not the result of negligence, not the result of misconduct, not the result of poor leadership.
Meanwhile, the United Nations has expressed deep concern over what is unfolding in Afghanistan with every rising sun. UN said more than 100 former Afghan National Security Forces and others have been killed since the Taliban takeover in August, most at the hands of the hardline Islamist group which is recruiting boy soldiers and quashing women's rights. Nada al-Nashif, UN Deputy High Commissioner for Human Rights, said that in addition, at least 50 suspected members of a local affiliate of Islamic State known as ISIS Khorasan, an ideological foe of the Taliban, died by hanging and beheading. In a speech to the Human Rights Council, she described Taliban rule as being marked by extrajudicial killings across the country and restrictions on women's and girls' basic rights.
We are also alarmed by continuing reports of extrajudicial killings across the country, despite the general amnesty announced by the Taliban after 15 August. Between August and November, we received credible allegations of more than 100 killings of former Afghan National Security Forces and others associated with the former government, with at least 72 of these killings attributed to the Taliban. In several cases, the bodies were publicly displayed. This has, of course, exacerbated fear among this sizable category of the population.
The UN said that families are facing severe poverty and hunger this winter amid reports of child labor, early marriages, and even the sale of children. The Taliban has not just been killing people, but it has also been displaying the bodies publicly, which has exacerbated the fear among the sizable category of the population. The statements also underlined that the Taliban decree earlier this month that failed to refer to women's and girls' rights to education, work, and their freedom of movement and to participate in public life.
And now we take a look at some happenings in Asia in our segment called Asia Watch.
More than 10 months since Myanmar's military seized power, the country's human rights situation is deepening on an unprecedented scale. In recent weeks, the UN Human Rights Office has received multiple reports of villages being burned, including protected structures such as places of religious worship and residential buildings. The United Nations Human Rights Office said they are appalled by the alarming escalation of grave human rights abuses in Myanmar. Spokesman for UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, Rupert Colville, also said that since the coup, General Ming Aung Hlaing's forces have repeatedly failed to respect their obligations under international law to protect the country's people. As a result, more than 1,300 individuals have lost their lives and another 10,600 have been detained.
The Beijing 2022 Organizing Committee organized a media tour to the snowmaking process at Big Air Shaogang, the only snow venue in the city of Beijing that will host freestyle skiing and snowboard competitions in the upcoming Winter Olympics. The venue has started making snow since December 12 and will continue to do so until around January 20. The games begin on February 4 and end on February 20. The venue was constructed on top of a former steel mill of Shaogang Group, which was shut down before the 2008 Summer Olympics due to concerns over air pollution.
Gulf Arab leaders recently met in Riyadh for an annual summit expected to stress cohesion after a deep rift at a time of regional concern over Iran and rising economic rivalry within the oil-producing bloc. The Saudi Crown Prince toured Gulf states ahead of the summit, which comes nearly a year after Riyadh put an end to 3.5-year Arab boycott of Qatar that had shattered the US-allied Gulf Cooperation Council. Saudi Arabia and non-Gulf Egypt have restored diplomatic ties with Doha, but United Arab Emirates and Bahrain have yet to do so, though Abu Dhabi has moved to mend fences. Sunni Muslim Saudi Arabia and Shiite Iran are vying for influence in a rivalry that has played out across the region in events such as Yemen's war and in Lebanon, where Iran-backed Hezbollah's rising power has frayed Beirut's Gulf ties. Riyadh and Abu Dhabi, concerned about Iran's nuclear ambitions, missile program and regional proxies, are engaging with Tehran to contain tension. Abu Dhabi has moved faster to improve ties with Iran and Turkey, while also re-engaging with Syria after forging relations with Israel last year.
Moving on, we now talk about Japan's advanced technology and innovative methods for modern lifestyle. Recently, Japanese company NEC Corporation has installed Face Express, which is a face recognition system at Narita Airport. And global transportation business company NYK Group has come up with Sail Green project. Have a look.
Japanese company NEC Corporation has installed Face Express, which is a face recognition system at Narita Airport. After the registration of passenger's face, he or she can pass a number of procedures like boarding procedure, security check, boarding gate, and many more without even showing a boarding pass or passport at every checkpoint.
今回航空業界の標準という形に融合させる形での顔認証による搭乗プロセスというのを実現することができました。でコロナが明けた後に、旅客の方需要が戻ってきた時に、スムーズに搭乗いただけるかつ非接触という新しい世界でも有効活用いただける仕組みだと思っています。さらに多くのエアライン様旅客に使っていただけるようにさらなる、性能ですとか機能使い勝手の向上を、果たしていきまして世界中の空港で我々が今回作り上げた仕組みを使っていただければというふうに考えております。
Face Express uses a dedicated touch panel device on AI engine. Customers register the necessary information, hold their passport, and verify their face. After the baggage is checked, customer can move from the security gate to the boarding gate without any hassle. For privacy reasons, face recognition data will be deleted within 24 hours of registration.
高い認証精度を、実現するためには空港という光が大量にですね差し込むような環境においても顔写真が正しく撮れるような仕組みというものを導入することが必要となります。ゲートの近くに、パーティションだとか、カーテンだとか光を遮る仕組みを入れたりこちらに置いてありますようなタッチポイント一台一台に置いてカメラの設定を変えてですね最適化をするところを、実施してました。
乗り継ぎの空港で一から利用登録をしなくても同様のサービスが利用できるようになると便利ですので海外の空港や 航空会社と連携を模索していきたいと思います。海外旅行の際にはシームレスな手続きが実現でき、皆様から便利になったと言っていただける環境を作っていきたいと思っています。
Equipped with latest technology, Face Express NEC is coming up with a new and a more convenient service. It has the most accurate image recognition in the world and guarantees security in all adverse circumstances. Global transportation business company NYK Group has come up with Sail Green project. It is defined by the mid-term management plan of company and has been declared environmental, social and governance model project. Car carrying business aims to operate less environment burden transportation. Under it, shipbuilding work is carried out to reduce CO2 of LNG gas fuel material carriers.
セールグリーンプロジェクトは名前の通りですね、これは完全に環境対応ということで我々の本部として進めようとしているものです。骨子になるのはやはり一番 CO2 を排出していると思われるのはやはり船でございまして、外洋航路に出ている船の1年間の排出量は極めて大きいですから、これをどうやって下げていくかというのが一番の主軸になりますけれども、それとは別にですね、実際に自動車船が寄港する港、そこでのターミナル、そういった拠点でも扱うお荷物であるお車、これが通過するたんびにですね、我々の中で CO2 の排出を減らしていくと、これを全部総合させた形で、工場から出てですね、実際のお客様にお届けするまで一台一台のお車がこれまで排出してたと思われるその輸送に関わる CO2 をいかに減らしているかというのを見える化させた形でですね、環境問題に対して貢献していくか。この1台を同じルートで運ぶのに 100CO2 を排出してたのをこれでいくと60で済みますとか50で済みます。こういうことを明示してお客様のご同意を得ながらですね、世界に対してやはり我々として貢献していきたい。日本郵船は今それこそ ESG 経営、これが我々の経営の、屋台骨という位置づけでですね、いろんな角度からこの ESG 経営の施策というのに取り組んでいる最中です。特に我々は海運であり物流業者でありますから、必ず物を運ばなければいけない。化石燃料そのものが我々の貨物の一つでありまして、今後の流れはこういった石炭ではなく、あるいは原油ではなくということで、逆に CO2 を運ぶ、それから水素、これも液化水素という形で運んでいく、極めて新しい技術を伴う世界ですので、我々船会社としてもこういった新しい素材、新しい、資源をどうやって安全に運んでいくか、これを研究し実際に実現していくと。
In a dynamic changing era of energy resource, NYK Group is concentrating on contributing to social change.
Moving on, being an agrarian society, India celebrates a number of festivals that are directly or indirectly linked to the farming community. One among them is Kambala, which is an annual buffalo race held in the southwestern state of Karnataka and is observed with much enthusiasm and fervour. Take a look.
A spectacular sport and an entertaining event, Kambala is one of the grand festivals observed mostly in Dakshina Kannada district of Karnataka. It is a popular and a unique sport among the farming community of the state, in which buffaloes race on a muddy track that are held parallel to each other. Each team comprises of 2 buffaloes and a farmer who controls them. 2 teams are made to race down 2 slushy tracks blocked in the muddy field to determine the fastest team. This year, more than 200 pairs of buffaloes participated in the race that was held at Muda Bidri in Dakshina Kannada district of the state.
ಕಡಲಕೆರೆ ನಿಸರ್ಗಧಾಮದ ವೀರರಾಣಿ ಹಬ್ಬಕ್ಕ ಸಂಸ್ಕೃತಿ ಗ್ರಾಮದಲ್ಲಿ 19ನೇ ವರ್ಷದ ಕೋಟಿ ಜನ ಜೋಡುಕರೆ ಕಂಬಳ.
For the race, the chosen buffaloes undergo rigorous training and are fed on a special diet. On the day of the festival, the buffaloes are made to wear decorative and colorful headgears made of brass and silver, and ropes are tied as a bridle. The race continues till midnight and the winning pair is rewarded with a cash prize and coconuts, but traditionally, it was not a competitive sport in which buffaloes run in the field one by one. It is witnessed by a huge crowd of enthusiastic onlookers and supporters for whom race become the show of strength and valor.
This is like a festival for us. Every year we come and watch here, we celebrate here. We love to watch the buffaloes running, and it's like a grand festival over here.
Over the centuries, the age-old festival of Kambala has managed to grow in popularity. At present, around 18 Kambalas are held in one season, which starts after the harvest in November and ends in April in different villages.
And it's time for me to wrap up today's episode. We'll be back next week at the same time. This is Lipakshi signing off on behalf of entire production team of South Asia Today. Goodbye and take care.